You're seated in front of your gaming setup, controller in hand, ready to dive into a new virtual adventure. But something's different. The excitement you used to feel, that rush of anticipation now seems fleeting. It's as if the magic that once made games feel like vibrant worlds to explore has started to fade away. In this video, I want to unravel the question, no, enigma, behind why modern games feel like they're dying, delving into the highs and lows that have shaped the gaming landscape over years. I'm guessing you've probably watched a few videos similar to this topic, but as I watch and agree with many of their points, they fail to mention some of the most crucial and pivotal information that has steered our feelings about modern gaming to how they currently are today. I'll be addressing these points later in the video, and I want you to just take it all in with a grain of salt. You might agree, you might disagree, and that's okay. I'm always down to hear everyone's opinions about this situation. So buckle up as I unravel and embark on a journey through the evolution, changes, and transformations that have reshaped the gaming landscape within the last decade. You might be feeling like games aren't as fun as it used to be. I've stumbled upon this feeling many different times myself within the last few years and couldn't quite put my finger on why that was. However, I think I may have found the exact point where the start of the inevitable downfall of modern gaming occurred, and how people started to take notice of the subtle yet dramatic changes modern gaming began to participate in. Now, I don't want you to confuse this video with the sense that I'm saying gaming is dying. That is not true, and evidently it's not gonna die anytime soon. Hell, it's as big as it could ever be. But I want to make it clear that I'm discussing how modern gaming is declining in quality and why it feels like we aren't getting the same games we used to exactly a decade ago, or even further back from our OGs out there. We're going to be diving right into the nitty-gritty of these questionable and highly disagreeable practices modern gaming has adopted within recent years. Most of us used to watch Let's Plays and narrative story gameplay, namely PewDiePie's The Walking Dead Season 1 series, Markiplier's FNAF videos, or Jacksepticeye playing Happy Wheels. Around this era of the early 2010s, we were just getting out of the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era, exactly 3 months after Sony on May 21st, 2013. This was also the year GTA 5, Saints Row 4, Warframe, Call of Duty Ghosts, Rayman Legends, Devil May Cry, The Last of Us, Super Mario 3D World, God of War Ascension, Rust, The Wolf Among Us, Batman Arkham Origins, Outlast, Payday 2, Dota 2, Beyond Two Souls, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Remix, Path of Exiles, and BioShock Infinite, just to name a few. I bet most of you felt your heart dance at the mention of some of these games, and I don't blame you. If we look at recent years of games, they don't give us the same feeling of excitement you once felt before. Relative to the games I just listed, this is just 1 year of the early 2010s. Don't even get me started on the others. And moreover, I want to specifically talk about 2017 and 2018. A bit of a jump in years, but compared to 2013, this is half a decade's worth of time. So you'd expect the quality of gaming to thrive, right? Right? 2017, arguably to some people, was the last year of consistent good games with the release of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Horizon Zero Dawn, Destiny 2, and Fortnite. I firmly believe that 2018 was the last year of consistent good games to come out due to it having a lot more recognizable games like Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War 2018, Smash Ultimate, Among Us, Dragon Ball Z Fighters, Sea of Thieves, 2K19, Monster Hunter World, and Marvel Spider-Man 2018. You might be asking yourself, where did it all go wrong? Well, let's rewind back to July 21st, 2017. Fortnite. Although this is not a history of Fortnite, this day is controversially the day it all went wrong. But at the time, no one thought this free, small battle royale was anything. In fact, Fortnite didn't gain traction until September of 2017, because by this point, they had already had one featured PvE game mode called Save the World. I haven't heard that name in years. Anyway, the studio behind Fortnite, Epic Games, although not as well known as it is now, had just released the second featured PvP game mode into the game on September 26, 2017, called Battle Royale. We've all heard this by now, and some of you probably know all the Fortnite lore by heart, like your mom forcing you to know all the words to Never Gonna Give You Up, or I Want It That Way by Backstreet Boys. But this wasn't really what blew Fortnite up into the behemoth we know today. This marks the day that the first battle pass for Fortnite was released, adding many different cosmetics like emotes, skins, and other various customization options for you to use in game. It was like anything people have seen before. Dota 2 had introduced this sort of battle pass system way before Fortnite did, and is considered the forefather. But the difference was that Dota's battle pass was used to grant access to tournament and event features, as well as a wide variety of earnable cosmetic items during that period. Fortnite's seasonal model of battle pass releases was something new and enticing to the gaming world, which was evident with the sharp rise in popularity with Season 2 that was released in December of that year. I remember it like it was yesterday. Skipping all the minor details of Fortnite's history, it was clear to see that this seasonal model that the battle pass implemented was working. And working mighty well for that fact. The entice of new content with each quarter year had satisfied the hunger of everyone who played at the time, because it gave you just enough time to earn all the rewards that the battle pass had to offer. It was short enough that people didn't feel like the content was dragged on. Namely, for Fortnite, the seasonal model was more of a change in map in multiple areas, and the exclusive seasonal events that happened towards the end of the season, teasing aspects later to come in the next season. Each week players were given something new to do, either with weekly challenges provided with the battle pass, or subtle changes happening around the map as the season went on. I want you to know that later on, that when these games adopted this sort of format Fortnite created, these aspects didn't change fundamentally. This was no doubt the turning point for modern games, and with this business model being such a success, I don't blame gaming companies for wanting to start this predatory money grab with the implementation of... Now, I know I just talked about the seasonal model and battle pass of Fortnite. If you go on most games right now, either released during 2018 or after, you'll see these formulas put into practice. Even older live service games that have lived through these generation of games have implemented these changes to join a hive mind of extra revenue. Free-to-play games typically started to follow this trend because aside from their item shops or cosmetic stores, these games had no real income. Unless a free-to-play game had some sort of content locked behind a paywall innately, like MMORPGs, a game had to rely solely on their item shop for players to buy microtransactions. We'll talk about microtransactions later, as this is a well-known topic in the community, with recent games taking advantage of this system. However, this trend would turn into something less player-inclined and more to make a quick buck out of players' pockets. Games that had fully released started to lock seasonal content behind battle pass systems, which was already a sharp left turn from Fortnite. AAA titles already cost over $70 with tax, and now you want me to pay an extra $10 just to play content that should have been there prior to the seasonal content? And to make things worse, some games made the prices of battle passes more than $10. Some $12, some are $15. It just doesn't get any better. To top it off, a new season usually explored new ways to play the game, either by adding new guns, weapons, legends, etc. There was always something new that was used to spice up the game. This on paper looked good. You got new content, fresh things to use. What can go wrong? Oh boy, the worst has yet to come. Metagaming has always been present since the dawn of time, and people have found ways to find a tactic or strategy in order to make the game they're playing a lot easier, or competitively speaking, what a community agrees to be the most optimal way to play a game. I'm going to make a later separate video on the ins and outs of the meta importance of gaming on a philosophical level. But where it stands, it's a pivotal point as to why gaming has gone in the direction it currently strides on. With the seasonal model, as I explained before, new content and things to use would be introduced with each season, usually. And because of that, game developers tend to release game patches that would nerf or buff existing items in the game based on their usage rates or blatant overuse. A word that comes to mind with this overusage is broken. I want to quickly explain 3 ways someone might use this word in a given context. Firstly, something is unintentionally unfinished or overlooked in the game's developing process and quickly provides a clear and unfair advantage. Overpowered is usually a category of this description. Examples of this would be Infinite Supers in Destiny 2's Crucible, the Legion's many patches to his power in Dead by Daylight, and the Model 1887 Akimbo in Modern Warfare 2. Secondly, a patch that might buff an original underused weapon or ability to the point where it becomes overused in the meta. You'll likely see this changed item used somewhere around 80 to 90% of the games you'll play. You see examples of this in any and every game. Lastly, a patch or update that bugs many different aspects of the game. This could be a gameplay bug or a texture/graphic bug, and it clearly breaks the game in some sort of way. All of these examples of the word broken can easily be associated with the word meta. Why is this so relevant? Think back to the beginning of the video where I talked about the various Let's Plays you may or may not have watched when you were younger. Those games definitely had some broken textures and bugs sprinkled through them, which follows the third meaning of broken. Mostly because of the era they released in and the consoles that people used. There was no doubt about those bugs in the game, but that never took the fun out of them. In fact, there were many cases where these bugs were funny or just expected. However, I think the former two meanings are the most prominent in modern gaming, as most games nowadays have a competitive scene. What that generally means is that people are going to want to use the best things possible in a game in order to win. You don't typically queue up a ranked game mode to use niche builds or weapons, especially if the game mode is teammate oriented. It's almost a known rule to try and capitalize certain builds to form a meta synergy. Unless you're cracked or screaming double Koaluh, you're stating the obvious, and to that I say you're absolutely right, but my point is that this sort of mindset in the competitive scenes can promote toxic behavior. You've definitely seen this, people screaming and swearing at you for picking a non-meta legend or weapon, 100% guaranteed or your money back. Or maybe not to you directly, but maybe someone on your team was a target of a sweaty, Dorito-eating, Mountain Dew chugging gamer. Casual gaming has sort of taken a backseat within recent years, and it's gotten a lot harder to use things that aren't meta related. Not to say it's not there, some people generally don't care about what's the best or most optimal way to play, but they're far and few. Like I said, I want to make another video diving deep into metagaming and why it's so important to gaming culture right now. Where do people even find this information about meta? Wait. I'll make this brief. Streaming platforms like YouTube and Twitch add to the fire of meta and toxic gaming. They inherently aren't made to be this way, but they are a heavy influence to this culture with meta build videos on YouTube and streaming meta gameplay on Twitch. On the YouTube side, you have all sorts of people making videos every day about meta picks and meta strategies. It's almost impossible to avoid with YouTube putting these big and in-your-face thumbnails and titles that say stuff like, "This is the most broken thing in the game right now," or "Use this if you don't touch grass." I'm guilty of clicking on these videos, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. Just type in any competitive focused game on YouTube and I'm sure that within the first 10 to 15 videos, there'll be a top 10 list of the best things in the game, or they found something game breaking. On the Twitch side, you have streamers trying to show gameplay of meta playstyles. What's toxic about this isn't necessarily just sharing information about the meta, unlike YouTube, but it's more of a showcase of it. The difference is that it happens in real time, and that fact can lead to things such as stream sniping, promoting trash talking, and if the streamer is big, it can lead to their fans harassing people. You've probably heard of the name Tyler1. While there are other Twitch names which promote toxic behavior, Tyler1 is probably one of the most well known, with clips like this, and this, and this. Aside from all I've said, Twitch and YouTube aren't as big of hitters for other reasons that I've talked about. On the contrary, they promote a lot of casual gaming, and people like myself enjoy that about each site. That's why they're highly popular. Overpriced games. Remember the days when games came out at $60? Still expensive, but better than being $70 plus taxes that'll add an extra $5 in there. Like what? This is literally half a battle pass worth of money. Besides that point, games are bigger than they ever have been, being between 60 gigabytes and 120 gigabytes. Now, that might not be as bad if you had at least 2 terabytes of space in whatever gaming device you're using, but typically consoles without any added SSDs are under 1 terabyte of space. What does that mean for you? That means after about 10 to 15 games, including AAA titles and some one-off games, you're now opening your Amazon app on the web browser and looking for an external storage device that costs somewhere between $60 and $130. Don't even get me started if you want to stream and record videos. RIP your storage. But all that can be fixed with today's sponsor. Never mind. Demos, now called alpha and beta testing, or some games like to call it early access. Demos used to be a crucial marketing strategy alongside teasers and trailers. Game developers and studios would give us demos of the game they've been promoting and gave us just enough of the game that you'll eventually beg your mom or dad to buy you the game because you've replayed the demo for the 27th time. It didn't require you to pre-order that said game or enter some lottery system to try it out. It simply came out in the store of your respective gaming device. You knew exactly what game it would be because you played it for the 30th time and you want to go further on. With early access now, there's always the high chance that the game could be changed in significant ways now that games doesn't feel the same as they used to when you played it earlier. Although this can be a good thing, depending on the game, the majority of the time it's left with an outroar from the community. And speaking of community outroar, overhyped games. Now jumping back from the previous point, people who try these early access games and praise it as a new all-father of games, or stuff like killer. Usually it's a ton of lip service from people whose gaming standards have diminished over the last few years, and understandably so with the examples of this year's games release. When you have masterpieces like the Batman Arkham series, and more recently God of War for narrative-driven games, Call of Duty Black Ops 1 through 3 for FPS games, and the Smash series for platform fighters, it's hard to find games that give you the same sense of joy when you load up the title screen or main menu to these games. Games that I can think of that suffered from the overhype effect more recently are namely Multiverses, Anthem, Cyberpunk, Marvel's Avengers, Fallout 76, and Aliens Colonial Marine 2013. Carrying on, with things like Reddit and Twitter being widely popular, it's no surprise that these sort of things suffer from this effect. Reddit posts talking about anything under the sun, and Twitter threads being the most mind-numbing experience, it's hard to avoid controversial and trending topics, especially towards gaming. There you'll find some of the most based and flat-out wrong information about certain games, and they bait you to buy out these games. Although that isn't their purpose, people who blindly fall for this hype and buy the game after hearing from the Reddit warriors praising games so much before it releases is a prime example of informational influence. Have you ever seen a group of people looking up at something and you have no idea why they're doing it, and yet you somehow find yourself looking up in the same direction they're looking at? This is informational influence, and it is referred to as the tendency to conform to what others are doing or saying because we perceive them as a source of accurate information, particularly in an ambiguous or uncertain situation. I want you to look at Cyberpunk 2077, for example. I know I said that people have already covered why it flopped on release, but I truly believe this game is the stronger embodiment for this topic. In fact, I remember when I first heard of the game from one of my friends. He said it was going to be the rival or potentially better than GTA 5. He was so wrong. He basically was saying that this was the GTA 6 we were waiting for the last decade. At the time, I hadn't even heard of the game, but when I saw it in all my feeds in Cyberpunk and an astounding 8 million pre-order number, I was like, I have to get this game. Luckily, my friend let me play it, and it was utterly underwhelming. I only had around 40 minutes of gameplay before I never touched the game ever again. And soon after, Sony and Microsoft had announced that players had the option to refund the game because it was received so poorly. The graphics for even a PS5 was horrendous to say the least, and Cyberpunk 2077 is amongst many other games that the overhype just made it flop on release. But this next point is what most of you have probably been waiting for, and rightfully so, because not only was Cyberpunk overhyped like many other games, it was also the game is getting negative reviews and feedback after people have been praising how good it would be before it came out? Wait, did you say our vanilla game is boring and it's only fun when you get 80% through the game? Let's slap a big fat battle pass in your face with the promise of also patching broken aspects of the game and adding more content that should have been there on release. Oh? Did you say there are more things that are broken than there were before? Let's give you another battle pass with the promise of fixing everything broken, but this time we're gonna shut all the servers down for extended maintenance. This legend or weapon is too broken and overpowered? Don't worry, we'll nerf it to the ground because all the pro streamers and content creators hollered it was too good. Wait a second. Our player retention rate is falling even lower than it was on release? What are we gonna do? Wait, I got it. Let's pump out a DLC. That's sure to bring everyone back, and the bad talk about our game will go away surely. It's been 2 years. We finally did it. After 40 seasons and 80 DLC and the promise of a successor game, we finally got our players back. In all seriousness, these underdeveloped games all follow the same formula. The game is released and is completely worse than what it was said by the beta testers or developers themselves. They then tell us some patch notes that will try to fix all the things that made the game broken or somehow makes things worse. I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen games do this, and it pains me more that they try and promote their battle pass with content that honestly should have been there from release. Don't even get me started with re-released games. That's another can of worms I don't want to get into. No way you release a game already existing and then somehow makes it worse with repurposed features that no one asked for and are just husker their former selves. You're asking yourself, how or what can possibly be worse than this? Oh boy, do I have some news for you. It does. Let me clue you in to what I consider the most predatory and scummy things modern games do right now. And that,
hey, what's up guys, here.
Microtransactions, aka Wallet Deleter 9000. It's not far-fetched to say that the one and only thing always completely fine-tuned and never has a problem on release of any game is the store of that said game. If there somehow is a problem with the store, you best believe it's being fixed within the hour. Not only that, but games love to throw every add-on or bundle in your face at any chance they get. This is especially prominent with live service games, where a lot of their revenue comes from the shop or any sort of DLC and battle pass system they have available. If you take a look at Sweatcicle's channel, you'll find a video about the Destiny 2 new player experience. It's a funny video and definitely worth checking out if you're interested in Destiny. But the highlight of that video is the pop encounters for buying the DLCs when new players are getting into the game. I'm sure lots of other games do this as well, but it's just funny to me how much they really put it in your face to buy these bundles of content and all sorts of cosmetics in their respective stores. Fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a phenomenon that happens when you miss a piece of content in a game. It can range from gameplay to cosmetics, and usually is used as a tactic in order to get players to play something within a time frame, or you'd end up having to spend money because a cosmetic or content is leaving and never returning. Content is usually something game developers actually never bring back, due to it being a seasonal event or some sort of limited time event. And despite knowing this, these developers still take back their word and bring it out, but I barely see that happen. It's usually with cosmetics, and they like to fold and bring them back because the community would go ballistic if they deemed it not fair. Also, why wouldn't they bring back a cosmetics that you have to buy? What does this look like, Goodwill? They ain't gonna pass up more money if the demand is high. I can't tell you the amount of times I pulled all-nighters trying to get a limited time item or something in a game. It's like clockwork, baby. And they got me out here putting a 9 to 5 trying to get all that crap. Grind games and live service games do this to keep you playing their game, but they also add in ways you can skip a lot of the grind, with your wallet of course. And that brings us to pay to win or pay for progression. I want to be brief with this point, as this can be a topic for a whole another video between the difference with both, but there isn't any doubt that live service games do this as a monetization strategy. I mean, who wants to sit there for hours on end grinding for the same materials or items when you could just buy those things in the store? I know this point can be negated with stuff like, oh, just be free to play if you don't want to spend money. But there comes a point where you can't grind all day every day for something and you only have so much patience. And you also have a life. Game devs know this, and of course they can't capitalize on that fact, so their aim target is people who have an income but can't devote their time to grind like a 9 to 5 and leaves us with the ultimatum of quitting the game or spending money to enjoy it. With all that coming together to a closing, I hope you guys have a better understanding of that feeling you have for games right now. I certainly do, after all the research and experience with this topic. I believe that games have somewhat reached a plateau in creativity, and that it would take a lot of new innovations to gaming to push past the expected formula that gaming companies and developers have cultivated in the last 5 years. I want to quickly say that if you still understood these points but can't fully understand why you feel this way, it can be easy to say it's just life. Most of us are young adults still figuring out what we want in life. Gaming was a friend we had every time we came home from a long day of school, and even shared amongst other friends. The memories you've created gives you that nostalgic yearn for the same joy it once brought you. But now we've grown up and continue to grow with each day. It might just be that you've grown out of the same old thing with games and you want to find something new and exciting. With that said though, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and you can definitely find ways to enjoy modern gaming again. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. It means like the world to me. I've really enjoyed making this video since, since this is my first one, and I plan to make more within the next month or so, and they're definitely gonna be a lot shorter. So don't expect to be getting like 20-30 minute videos each and every time. But thank you guys so much, like I said again, for making it to the end of the video and watching it fully. Thank you for all the support. I will have my Twitch and Kick in my description, so you guys can check me out whenever I'm live streaming. And I hope you guys, stay around for the next video. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.